You're more than I can shake. I drag you in. You're my ball and chain. You never go away.
Introducing hashtag Team Yahawashai, your portal to becoming actual reality witnesses. Only on the Yahawashai News Network.
Flat Earth Fridays is back and we're live. How are you doing, brother?
I'm great, man. It's good to be here tonight. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We got some Flat Earth Friday content.
Absolutely. That song got me pumped up. I'm ready to rock some Flat Earth tonight.
Yeah, it's a brand new song right there. I'll put the links after in the comment section below. So, I guess, how do you want to jump into the topic tonight?
No, let's let everybody know what's going on. It's this is a casual night. We don't have like a seminar presented for you. There's not some groundbreaking video. What we're going to be doing is going through the same stuff that we've been going through for the last 7 years, but we've got some better tools. So 3D modeling is a tool that we're going to be using a whole bunch of tonight. We're going to be looking at things from outside perspectives that can never actually be seen in reality. And that's huge. It gives you perspective as to what's taking place. So there's this thing that is just, it irritates the snot out of me. It's that people woke up to the fact that we're on a plane, but they got psyoped into an impossible fake flat earth. And so we are going to go on a campaign, a bonanza, where we're going to show how ridiculous and how stupid that model is over and over and over and over again. So it's retarded, and we're going to show everybody how you can see it's retarded. We're not saying that if you got sucked into it that you're a retard, because both Ronnie and I, when we heard about Earth being a plane, we originally fell for it. But all you have to do is be clued into a few things and do a little bit of looking yourself, and you can see how wrong and impossible it is. So we want to point those things out to everybody just over and over and over again until it just becomes like you just know that it's impossible. You can see that the sun's not coming towards you and it's not going away from you. What do you say, you brother?
Yeah, no, you took the words right from my consciousness. I was going to talk about some of the people out here that talk about how they say that they see the sun approach them and then leave them, right? They're trying to deny that the fact that the sun rises and sets. And other than that, I've heard characters like Harvey. I know many people might know him as Russian Vids. He now goes by, what does he call himself now? Truth?
So they live.
They live from the movie with Roddy Piper. That's right. He was saying that because palm trees grow in the tropics, that it's circular and that we're on an AE map. So when we have guys coming out saying, oh yeah, it was never debunked, this and that, well, it truly was debunked. Jason and I debunked the idea that the sun could be constantly traveling in a circle. Just the simple fact that the sun rising from 80 degrees north of east and setting 80 degrees north of west. Yeah, okay, so it sort of could look like it was circling, but after the equinox in the fall, the sun then rises 100 degrees south of east and sets at 100 degrees south of west. So it's actually doing the improper reciprocal circle. So if it was an AE map, it'd be all of a sudden it would be going this way now off the map. No, one way like this, and then the other way would be like this. Right? You guys need to understand that the sun movements, rise and set angles actually debunk the model. And so that's the reason why we believe that we live in a virtual reality, because we went and non-biasedly looked for truth. And the thing that I don't understand is, why isn't there anyone else that just blazes the path for straight truth? What is? We bring it up, we show, we film it. We explain perspective and how objects do disappear from the ground up as they travel away from you on a flat plane. And the higher you rise in elevation, the larger your field of view becomes, gives you a different angle to the vanishing point. We've shown all the different ways that people can follow the path to truth. And yet you still have people out there shilling, lying, and putting out nothing but dis and misinformation, thinking that the sun could possibly never rise or set. And it's got to be one of the most debunkable things, because all you have to do is literally watch a sunrise or sunset. And then we bring up topics such as clouds behind the sun. One of these podcasts will have to bring up some data. Let's check out, how high are these clouds? Are these clouds, 92 million miles away if it was a globe Earth? No, they're not. Are they 3,000 miles up as the AE map model demands with the way that the shadows work on the tropics? Absolutely not. Right? It doesn't work at all. The clouds are a lot lower than 3,000 miles. And so is the sun and everything else. And yet we're the only ones that constantly blaze the path of truth. And we don't see anybody that tends to want to stand up with us. We're going to continue to do it. So I'm excited. I know you're going to bring out some modeling tonight. What do you want to give us a primer on before we get into that?
Yeah, so just the whole thing, I want everybody to understand, sun circling like this, it's stupid. Stupid, right? They tell you that the sun goes around in horizontal circles above the ground, and we're going to show you how dumb that is. And as Battery 79 mentioned, fundamental truth. So the plain earth is fundamental truth number one. I really do believe that this is the gate to the straight and narrow path. I think that so the Bible tells us that there is this grand delusion that's going to come across people, and that if you don't love the truth, that you're going to be misled. So this is the gate right here, that to get on the path of truth, you have to go through this one. It's really fundamental, because it has to do with the world that you live in. If you don't think that your worldview, your concept of where you exist, isn't key and critical to being true and accurate, you're lost. So gate number one is understanding that we're not a spinning ball flying through space. Evolution, all these things were made up. It's all forms of Kabbalism. And that the entire purpose of all of that has been able to give a person a semi-plausible excuse for being an atheist, right? So the being an atheist, nobody could have ever been one if you believe that you're on a flat plane. Everybody knows that if you're on a plane, that you have to have a creator. So they gave you this idea that everything exploded from nothing in a big bang, and you don't have a creator. Everything came about by chance. So knowing that you were created, that you're on a plane, all these things, that it's true. We can prove it. We've been through the debates, and anybody who wants to challenge us again, we can go through the debates again. It's a fact that Earth is not spinning, that there's no curvature, right? So we're on a fixed and immovable plane, but yet we have the luminaries moving in the sky, and what we're going to be doing is focusing on what that path is. It's not doing a horizontal circle like this, yet it is revolving, so we're going to be showing you what that path is over and over and over again. And this is a no-lose situation for us. We can do it over and over and over for eternity. The sun's always going to rise. It's always going to follow this exact same arc that we're going to be going through tonight. And it's a no-lose. As long as we get a person to actually go out, look, witness, observe it, not watch a David Weiss video, you're going to actually see that the path that we're showing you shows the sun coming out of Earth and setting into Earth on the plane.
Again, I'll bring up your talking points. You might not have hit them as clear as this. The globe Earth Big Bang universe expanding was invented so that atheism could be born. Atheism is the child of the Big Bang cosmology. Okay, everybody knew that they were created and there was a creator and the earth was fixed and it was everything in the sky that revolved around us. They knew that. It was only because of the Jesuits, right? They were able to infiltrate into the societies through nonsensical shadows and stick realities when we can show just the actual reciprocal of that. So again, the truth of our realm is that yes, it is flat, but then there's also another gate that you have to pass through, right? The second gate, once you understand that, is now that you need to understand is the AE-MAPA model was made up to be debunkable so that they can push you back to the Jesuitical born atheism, Big Bang, sphere Earth cosmology. So we want to make
false dichotomy. It's a straw man takedown.
Exactly. They always give you the false dichotomy. What they do is they give you both wrong answers. Anybody can figure this out. If you want to confuse or divide somebody, you don't give them the truth. You say, choose one of these two, multiple choice of wrong plausibilities. And the third one that generally tends to be the truth gets censored and you don't get to see it, but we're going to bring it forth. I'm going to stop ranting. I know we should get on to, get into some of this content. I'm really looking forward to it. Get into some modeling. We've got a bunch of stuff, going way back to 2015. We've been talking about this.
Sounds good. When we come back,
one more thing.
Oh yeah.
One more thing. I just wanted to add, excuse me, I forgot to bring up the other thing that it just makes me absolutely just pissed off. And it makes me sick to my stomach. All these people out here, I've been saying it since 2013, trying to sell t-shirts, trying to make money, trying to profit off of the truth. And it makes me sick to my stomach. And the common denominator seems to be the circling, never setting AE-MAP model sun or an infinite pond with a dome on it. Okay. These people, you got to wise up. If people are trying to sell you the truth, you need to understand that they're bought out. They're paid off. They're doing it to get paid too. Right. So I'm just looking for people like us that are here just simply for the fact that we're going to stand with truth, with the orphan, with those that are fallen, with those that cannot stand and fight for themselves. Jason and I will stand in those gaps for truth. And we don't care if we're the only two people in the entire realm that bring you the truth. That's what it is. And until it's debunked, which none of the things that we've shared has been debunked, except for the things that we've debunked, been corrected on publicly. We're not afraid to be publicly corrected. Jason says we both thought the AE-MAP was plausible until we tried to model it, right? So, and the Southern Stars, that's the huge problem is you need to have two poles, but we're going to get into that. It's actually 1 and 2 half poles, stereographic projections, and we did the deep dive. We're going to get into it, so I'm really excited, and that's my long extra rant.
No, that's great. We'll come back and we'll get into the modeling. We'll see you all soon.
just a little bit more time on my own. I don't feel a thing anymore. Need just a little bit more time on my own. And I need everything up. I said enough was enough. I'm still trying to cut into my heart of stone.
And here we go. We are in motion, everybody. This is Apple's 3D. It's not really a modeling program. It's a 3D just graphics editor, I would say. What do you think of motion, brother?
It's awesome. I love motion. The things that you see, the spinning new music, reality check spinner that I have on the Rise and Grind podcast are made in motion. We make tons of stuff in here. It's an amazing tool for graphic artists. It's amazing. One of the best that could ever be made. I'm a huge Motion 5 fan.
Yeah, so we can do stuff in here where you can see here, this is built on a plane. Apple's product here is really trying to mimic an infinite plane. All right, you see this where it sort of comes to a blur here, that grid work. So what we have here is a plane, and I've got this circle, and this orange circle is actually the path of the sun. All right, so
okay, hold on a second. So what you're telling me here is you've got a picture on the screen in the 3D modeling program, an infinite plane that we're looking at here, the red line cutting through the plane east-west. Right, and the blue line is your prime meridian going north-south. And what you're telling me is that's the rise and set angle of the sun on the equinoxes 2 times a year. It rises 90 degrees east and 270 degrees west, doing an arc around you. And depending on your latitude or longitude, the angle of that arc in the sky will be detected when you point to Polaris or Sigma Octans in the south.
absolutely. So we've got it set up with a compass out here that has the numbers going both directions, just a little handy feature. And yeah, so we've got 0 and 360 is your north, 90 is your east, 180 your south, 270 your west, and this is a big view. So this is, when I model stuff, I like to do it to our area so that I can see that it matches reality. And so we're in the Austin area. This is just a little bit north of Lake Travis. We're in the hill country on the outskirts. And so this right here is a shot from Google Earth that really shows the landscape of the area around us. And so we can relate to it. Now we've got this big outside view with this orange circle right here. And then if you see down here in the center here, what we have is a circle of sight, a real one. And we're gonna get into detail about that, but what I wanted to do is first show everybody this big circle here, because once I start zooming in on this, it's a long zoom, and we're not going to come back to this view again. So I just wanted everybody to see this outside view of this. Now let's go ahead and start bringing this in closer.
Okay, so 1 second. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Background noise. Hopefully Zoom cancels it out. So what we're explaining and showing here, what Jason is showing here, is what you can verify and measure as the celestial objects in the sky, the luminaries, lights in the sky. This is how we measure them. This is a plot of area of land actually where we live. This is the hill country here in Texas, just northwest of Austin, Texas, hill country. And as Jason zooms in, we're starting to see how large we can see to the edge of our circle of sight. So our vanishing point is the circle you can see on the screen, which Jason has the pointer northeast, south, and west, and it also goes up and down. That's how you navigate through three-dimensional programming. That's all you need is 3 measurements, right?
So we're
left to right, up and down.
Yeah, now we're getting down here
4 measurements. Sorry.
to a local circle of sight, like the one that when we walk outside, we can actually see. So as we get in closer to this, now you're going to see that same orange line again. And you're going to see a few other things. We've got our camera. So right here is where the camera is set up right now. I'm going to show you that I've got an airplane set up on top of this thing. And so let's start getting in a little bit closer. And now what we've got here is the pink line is, roughly where we're located. And then if we look around to the horizon out here, these are the hilltops around us that we see. And so this is roughly 5 miles or so that we can see, because we're up on a hill. So we do get to see above the tree line, but then we have other hills around us that we're limited by the distance to those hills. So if we come down here and start taking a look at this on the local level, you're going to see here that I've got everything lined up where, because we're at 30 degrees north latitude at the equinox, our solar noon, the sun's going to be at 60 degrees. All right, so it goes, we're going to show the path of how it moves throughout the year. We've been showing that for a long time, but here, if we get down closer, down like we're on the ground here. All right, now what I'm going to do is throw on a couple cloud layers. We'll put these on here. And so now we're set up in a position where if we get in here close, so it's like we're looking out, we're looking east, this is the equinox. Now I've got this set where, you see how we have these 2 suns coming up? Well, the first one's the local sun. This is the one that we see with our eyes from the ground. From the ground, we can only see this distance to the horizon out here of maybe 5 or so miles. So when we go out and we watch the sun rising, it's going to follow this orange path right here. And if there's clouds above it, right here, you'll see it's coming into the cloud layer. We see the sun ascending into the clouds. This whole time period before this, we see the clouds underlit from the bottom side. Mm-hmm. Right? And the sun comes up out of the ground. It's following this arc. Now, I'm just going to show everybody, this is it's like an equilateral arc around you. You see this? If you're in the center here, we're above the clouds.
You're the pink line. You're looking up at the sun, right? Well, right now you should be looking at the rise of it.
Yeah, but so if you're at the center here, this is the arc that the sun makes around the observer. It rises 90 degrees east on the equinox, comes up to this overhead position up here, comes back down and sets in the ground. So when the globe earthers say an equatorial sundial will not work on the flat earth, an equatorial sundial is designed to follow this arc right here. This is the arc on a flat plane. So you say, go ahead.
60, when the pink line where it says 120/60 intersects with the orange line, that's your midday point, right? Mm-hmm. That's the meridian passing of the day. That's
solar noon.
Solar noon.
Yeah, so you watch this, what Ronnie's talking about is, you see how the sun came up through the cloud layer. Now what we're doing is we're looking at this from an outside perspective. You can never get to the position where you can see the sun make this arc, because as you go up in altitude, all right, if you get up here to the top of this thing,
plane height,
you're going to find I did this all to scale too. So here's our plane up on the top of this thing.
There's the plane just above on the left. Now it's in the center.
Yep, there's the plane. So now what I'll do is I'll run this sun back. And this right here, this is the Matt
Long footage.
The Matt Long footage.
Exactly. Good point. Excellent.
Exactly. So when you're up in a plane and you use a zoom camera, you can actually zoom into the sun coming up through clouds out here, if there are clouds out at the horizon, and you'll see it coming up just like this. It's coming up.
Clouds underlit, they get brighter, and then as it comes on, the clouds get bright on the top.
And then clouds get bright on the top. That's it. So wherever you are elevation-wise, the sun's always going to have this bigger and bigger arc around you. Right? This is the big arc out here. And if we take ourselves back down to ground level.
So what you're stating is that it's locked. It's locked. It's locked to your or any observer's position. So it's like the rainbow. So if you try to go closer to the sun, it continues to move away from you. It's an aberration. It's a luminary. It's a light. And the higher you rise in altitude, the larger it has to continue to move away from you. So it then has the largest circle of sight the higher that you go. The sun or moon or stars or rainbows.
Yeah, so this near sun, this is the one that you see at ground level. See, everything's got the exact same angles. It's the exact same path. And if you were to back yourself out of this view and look at this, see the angle, if you were to go out with a sextant and take the angle reading, if this is 15 degrees, this is 15 degrees back here. All right, that's the angle of the sextant's going to tell you the sun's position. Now the thing is when you're at the ground, all right, you're going to see the sun at its closest position to you. In fact, the lower you go, if you go below sea level, the sun's actually going to even render closer to you than if you're at sea level.
Well, an interesting fact to go with that is Death Valley is below sea level. It's the hottest place in the United States of America.
That is interesting. Right.
And also in Israel, there's that same type of thing in the salt areas.
So the ways that we can actually prove this, you can prove this. You can actually go out. You can actually watch the sunrise and see that it's not moving towards you, right? It's following this arc around you, and it's underlighting the clouds, right? If there's clouds out at the horizon, it's rising up through the clouds, right? And then it's above the clouds. So we've had, so many shills come out and say, well, if the sun's going underneath the clouds, like if you go up in an airplane, it never comes up through the clouds. But actually it does. And we've got Matt Long recorded it. So when you go up like this, where's our plane? When you go up like this, then you see it come up through the clouds like this. And it's farther away from you. When you zoom in, it's not as big as if you were on the ground and zoomed in on it. Same is true of the moon. Right, the higher you go, the smaller it's going to be, because it's going to be rendering to you the farthest away from you. How else would you take a look at the graphics here, brother, and show people?
Well, you're showing them, the one angle, right? So that's on the equinox, and this is at our latitude. So the latitude, like a ladder, are the degrees north to south on the realm. So you just need to understand that this everybody can do. You just need a compass and a sunrise and a sunset and a midday point. And you can actually, find out where the sun is, what position it's at. You can even use a sextant, or you can just count the degrees. It's not that hard to do. You can follow YouTube videos and try to spot it yourself. And what you're going to find is that the sun is not rising or coming around, doing a circle around us in the sky. It's literally coming up out of the ground, up through clouds, above our head, comes back down through the clouds, and then sets. every single day. And it says in the scripture, so the sun rises, so too he always sets continually on his path or his course or his race. And it states in the book of Enoch for each observer that the sun then loses his crown, he goes underground, and then he's brought back around to the east, where he then rises again through the different sections of, you can mark it off with the compass square, or you can use the Andrew Marsh site, where he's actually literally marked out the 6 Enoch gates that people commonly mistaken for some kind of stupid nonsensical portal, when really it's just a measurement here on the compass of where the sun rises, the moon, and all the stars come up and set. Right? That's all that Enoch was explaining. And the Brad Marsh site, it shows you, it's got the 3 gates and the half of a gate, right? And then the half a gate back, and then to the second, to the third, to the fourth, to the fifth, and to the 6th gate. And the 6th gate is a half of a gate. So basically what you have is the compass headings and the sunrise and sets, just like this. And also this completely comports with what you could have programmed in a virtual reality, right? Where the sun is like, it's basically everybody is the center of the sun, the moon, and the stars. The whole of creation rotates around all of us and every single recording device that we could create that has an observer. Everything in creation then circles around them, right? With the ground or the horizon as the dividing point of the balance. So the yin yang used to be an upright. See how the way that Jason has the compass splayed out here on the map? The yin yang was like this, night and day. And the compass would spin, and the darkness would come up as night, and then it would set, and the daylight would come up, right? As the light side of the yin yang. But this is not something new. This is actually the way that the creation is. And it has nothing to do with the circling above your head, never setting, never rising sun or moon. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, so we'll watch a sunset. It's going to, now we're in the east, looking west. All right, we're above the clouds here. All right, sun's going to come back down. This would be like if you're flying just above the clouds in an airplane, you'd be seeing this type of view. Now if you're at the ground, you're going to see it come down. See, it came down through the clouds. It's below the clouds right now, and look, it's going to go right into the ground like that. And it's happening like this for every person. This path is determined by your latitude. This angle right here. This arc will tilt one way or the other, and we can do that in some of the other programs. Maybe we take a look at some of those other programs. Let's jump over there quick.
Definitely, we should look at the other programs. Of course, there's much more to look at. Here we go. Everybody get ready, buckle up. We're going to look at more evidence of where the sun rises and sun sets.
All right, so here's suncalc.org. Free website. Everybody can use this, and this view right here is a straight top-down view of what we were just looking at. Same location, right? We're at 30 degrees. We can adjust this to an equinox to make this like what we were just looking at. So March, we'll go 20th. Do you see how straight this path is?
Yeah, wow. That's definitely not doing a circle going around you in the sky.
No circle.
I don't know if people understand that, but the line on the ground would be the direction of the shadow of the sun, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's gonna, because we're north of the equator, the shadows will all be casting to the north, but the shadows will actually be tracing a straight line like this, just angled a little bit to the north. Now what I've got here is, because it's not showing me the distance like it did before. Let's try this one more time.
Yeah, maybe it just needed to be rebooted. There you go. I see the scale.
So this site actually really does a great job of showing how the sun comes out of Earth and sets into Earth. So this right here is 9 kilometers. And so half of that, 4.5 kilometers. This circle right here is basically what we can see to the horizon. Now notice the circle goes all the way down here to the S here, but there's this yellow band, and that right there, that yellow band is the ecliptic. And the sun travels in the ecliptic where it's farthest north at the summer solstice. It's going to be going around this line right here. At the equinox, it's in the middle band, and then at the winter solstice, it's at the farthest southern band. Now it's a little bit hard to figure this thing out three-dimensionally because we're looking straight down on it. But as we got the sun here below the horizon. Watch here. You see how it's showing it as under Earth. It's following that constant steady arc. And as soon as it comes above the ground, boom. This right here is the measurement that you can take with a sextant or a transit, any simple device like that. It's going to tell you the altitude, right, the degrees above the horizon, and it's going to show you the angle of a compass. That's your azimuth. So right now our
it's not even 3 miles, halfway point in all directions, 3 miles from the center out. That's how far that you can actually see. That's what it's calculating.
And watch the path of it. Here's the sun coming up, and where is it going? It's going down, and then it shows it going under Earth. So this is everybody's circle of sight right here, and it follows that same sweeping arc. So we're just gonna keep showing everybody that the sun is not overhead doing circles around a single polar point, Polaris. It's not. It's circling around you, the observer, based on your altitude, and it's coming up out of Earth, making this path around you and setting back into Earth, wherever you are, right? Even if you go super high, it's going to make the same sweeping path.
Mm-hmm. And nothing is hid from it, right? And the closer you are to the equator, the longer the sun stays closer to you, right? The further north and the further south you go away from the ecliptic or the equator, it gets colder, right? We can measure it. It's just common sense. This is stuff that everyone can understand, and it completely debunks the idea that the sun would be circling overhead, never setting, right? It's an impossibility. And you're faced with a huge dilemma as to understand that how is this reality really working, right? And once you do the deductive reasoning and you actually see these are measurements that we can go out and verify and test, right? How high we are, we can see this far, the sun will rise at this point, at this degree. We can measure it, we can predict it, we can witness it, right? What we can't witness is the Earth spinning like a ball with curvature and then measuring anything off of that. All we can do is measure off of a flat plane. We can get our sunrise and our sunsets and our dates and our angles, and we can match them up. That's it. And that's what we do. It's basic. We're not trying to, we're not trying to sell you a t-shirt because we want you to believe in this fantasy. We're trying to show people what it is, just what the truth is. That's it.
So now as we zoomed out here, now it's showing this is like 143 kilometers across here. So if you're up in an airplane and you're flying across here, you're supposed to be able to see like this distance, but everything's just a blur out at the horizon. You can't decipher anything. So we can't fly high enough where we can actually look down and see this much land, right? But still, from this altitude, what does the program show? It shows the sun coming up out of Earth, right? Circling overhead, coming back down into Earth. It's going to show you this same thing everywhere. Now, like I said, we're not going to be able to see up this high. So let's get a little bit closer here. Alright, so maybe if you're flying and you look down, you'll see something like this. Right, where you're able to see the fields and some of the roads and buildings.
The river.
Yeah, the lake, you'll see it looking like this beneath you. This looks like a reasonable view. And what do you get here? Well, it's the same exact thing. You have The sun coming up out of the earth right here. And so if you're at this location at that time and you're looking this direction, you're going to see the sun at this altitude and this azimuth setting. Right? All of this stuff is super dialed in, everybody. Test it.
It's accurate. It's accurate.
Go out there and test it. So all of these tools, all the modern 2023 tools that we've got, they show the path of the sun around the observer on a plane, right, where it sets into the ground. That people say Pac-Man sun, Pac-Man sun. It's not a gaseous ball floating 3,000 miles up. You can clearly see that the luminaries are being rendered to you in your circle of sight. The sun, moon, wandering stars, fixed stars. They're all doing the same path around you as this rotating drum type thing. Another way to see that is the Andrew Marsh site that we've been showing for so long.
Gates right there. There they are.
So here we are. You know, this once again is like an Austin location. And let's get this back to like an equinox.
There you can see the analemma, the snapshot of the sun once a month throughout a year. It's slightly wider in the south part of the ecliptic path than it is in the north. It's oblate.
So you see this yellow band right here. You see how the compass is laid out on the outside ring. Then you see this yellow band. Let's go back to sun calc. There, right there, is that exact same yellow band. We've got the same top-down view. Here's the yellow band, but now with this one, we can take it and we can spin it around and look at it from all these different angles. And this helps you put things into perspective. Oh, it just glitched.
Yeah. No, it's still working fine. Yeah, I hope everybody's seeing. We're just trying to show you what is. The fact that this program's on a flat modeling plane, and these are angles that we measure from a flat plane. The shadows, the rise, the sun, everything. All of this works perfectly as it does in reality.
So watch what happens here. Let's see if
It's going to set. Boom.
it's keeping the exact same rate of travel. Same rate of travel. And then it comes up. Boom.
See how the program even had the light before the sun.
Light before the sun.
The light was created before the sun was created, right? In the
this
scriptures, it
light's
says,
diminishing. And then it's not until it's down for a little while until it goes totally dark too. But then you'll see before it comes up, the sky will start to lighten, and then boom, there it is. Then as soon as it's above the ground, you start getting direct shadows, right?
It's just crazy that, you know, people want to invent things and come up with stuff just because, you know, I don't know if they're trying to be hip or cool, but nobody actually wants to go out and measure and actually talk about what is visible and recordable and testable and repeatable every single day. The sun rises and the sun sets every single day around you. It stands with, it's like breathing. It's like your heart beating. You don't have to tell it to beat. The sun rises and sets around you every single day of every observer, of every camera, and every person on Earth. And depending on where you are, how much that sun will circle around you, how close it'll be to you, how strong it'll be, depending on your spot in the virtual reality. In the realm that we're in, the sun is acting as this. It's everywhere. It's always rising. It's always setting. It's a supernatural luminary. For us to get into the specifics of what it is, it would take a very long time. But what we're trying to explain to people is that it's not staying up 3,000 miles in the sky, circling above our head, like on an AE map fake flat Earth model, the false dichotomy, because we can actually measure it rises and sets. Now, Jason, if you take the pointer that you have there, I think, were you about to take it south?
Yeah. So
okay, take it over. I'll mute.
As I drag this south, look at what's happening. I'm heading down towards the equator, and what it's doing is straightening up the ecliptic. If we go back to sun calc, let's go zoom out here a little bit. And we'll do the same thing here. I'll drag this down here. You see how this yellow band is starting to stand up, and then as we get down here,
it tilts the other direction.
Then we went past the equator.
See how it's tilting the other direction? Now your map and model is completely debunked. Now it's at the equator. We're going through Ecuador.
We're close, yeah. So
as you travel, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that. So here's our top-down view of this right here. All right, there's your ecliptic band. So we've got the same tool working side by side here, but this one we can show you from all these other perspectives. Now if we take this down farther south,
this is where we run into a huge problem with the sun circling around Polaris, because now it's actually circling around the Sigma Octantis area of region in the sky in the south. 180 degrees south is the measurement on the compass. It's not circling around Polaris anymore, everybody. Ta-da! It's circling around another area in the sky 180 degrees south, not north.
Yeah, so now that we're farther south, the sun comes up in the east. Remember, we're at the equinox, but the sun is going to go north of this person on the ground, and then it's going to come back around to east-west.
But do people understand that it's coming up from the bottom? It's coming from Antarctica up, going over their heads in Ushuaia, and then setting back down towards Antarctica.
Another way to see this. Let's get this. We'll go down to the tip of South America, Ushuaia, right?
Yeah, Ushuaia.
There's our Ushuaia location,
and sunrise is looking north from your right hand. In the north, looking south, the sun rises on your left hand. That's the only difference. One you're looking north, one you're looking south.
Here's our north up at the top. All right, so here's our sun path.
On the right hand, the sun rises. It comes around us. It's now circling the opposite direction that it would be on an AE map and model. The sun needs to be going the complete other way. Circling the other way if it's circling around Polaris. Right? People need to understand that's making a left turn. Circling away from Polaris now.
Yeah, so the left-hand turns versus the right-hand turns. That's a big thing. That really is a big thing. Let's go ahead and take this out to a time of the year that it gets really bad. So, around their summer solstice, our winter solstice, they have these paths where look at from how far south of east to how far south of west.
So it's like 245 degrees south west. That's so far south, you guys. You don't understand. The AE map and model would always dictate that the sun, right, rises north of east and sets north of west. Always. I know you'll probably get to something after. We'll do another song break soon.
Yeah, we can come back and we'll go through the animations for the fake flat Earth, and hopefully people will see some of these issues as we show them. But we can jump back and look at this stuff too. Are you ready for a break?
Yeah, let's do it.
Satellites, the second sun in a violet sky. Can I go? Is this the darkness
And we're back.
Let's go.
So we've got the
Now,
fake flat Earth, the one that has a single polar point, the pressurized pizza dome flying through outer space. This is the one that gives flat Earth a bad name. And if you were to do a search for flat Earth, what you would find is an endless supply of videos debunking this model right here.
the straw man, right?
Yeah, so Rough Draft by Rob Skiba, which we've got a long history with the Skibers, but not anymore. So he came up with this, and this is the azimuthal equidistant, where he has the sun and moon and stars doing rotations horizontally above the plane, right? 3,000 miles up. They don't want to admit that. They'll say, no, we don't say it's 3,000 miles up, but their model does demand it because of the equinox, how it's from 45 degrees north and from 45 degrees south. They both see the sun at 45 degrees in the sky. And so if you measure from 45 degrees north to the equator, both directions, you're going to come up with 3,000 miles. And that makes it an equilateral triangle, which makes the sun 3,000 miles high. Right? They won't.
States here, right here, and the animation is not meant to illustrate the exact movements of the sun and moon, because it absolutely doesn't mimic the actual movements, because as you can see on the map, everything is constantly circling around Polaris like this. This isn't the way that it is observed or measured in the sky.
So with all of these, if we were to stop this and we were to have the people that are watching right now make a prediction, if you were to put a pole out here, somewhere on the equator, let's say Ecuador down here. So you've got a pole on it. Let's let the sun go around. So the sun's over here, and you've got this pole on the equator. Which direction would the shadow be being cast right now? Right, it's pretty obvious that the shadow would be being cast this direction, right? And then as the sun came around here, it would be cast that direction. And as it went over here, it'd be cast that direction. The sun would always be rising from north of east. It would always be setting north of west. And you would see the shadows making these spiraling, curves as it goes around. Now I've got a new video that I'm working on that is going to really show that from in motion, where I've got the sun set up as a light source, so it is casting shadows. So when I stick things three-dimensionally out here like a post perpendicular to the ground, it's going to show exactly how the shadow was cast. But in your head, think to yourself, how do you get straight line shadows, right, out of a circular Earth?
No, you can't. It's an error.
Yeah, you can't. So this right here is a top-down view where you don't really get to see the sun's circling above, so it's hard to actually find. But you'll find a couple animations like this. Right, there's your fake flat Earth. There's so many different things that you could do to debunk this. So on the equinox, how are you going to have half the Earth lit and half of it in darkness when it's a circular area being lit up here?
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Well, also notice that their light source, in order to get it as big as it is right here, it's actually going over the North Pole. So in the fake flat Earth model, the sun never sets from the North Pole. You can see that the light is covering the North Pole the entire time, all the time, and that's every day of the year.
We don't have any 24-hour sun up footage. D Marble went there for the Flat Earth meetup, and he filmed with a hill in the perspective. The sun went behind the hill, and then he ended the video, and then he said the sun never set, but it clearly set. So we don't have any footage of the sun never setting anywhere.
Yeah. So this is what people run into. You learn that the Earth is fixed, right? It's not moving. You've heard all the different proofs of that, and the fact that the globe Earth has zero proofs that it is moving. That's a problem too, right? The only single proof that the globe Earth has of Earth moving is supposedly Bob Nodell, who's another one that's not with us anymore. So these guys that come up with these fake models, I guess they don't last all that long. Something happens to them. So there's, go ahead.
Continue. Hey, you got.
Yeah, each one of these depictions is what flat earthers is saying, where you've learned that Earth's a fixed plane, it's not moving. You've learned that there's no curvature, but then somebody comes along and asks you, well, how does the sun rise and how does the sun set? And that's when a person takes their finger and they start doing a horizontal circle. They say it goes around like this, right? And that's where you get debunked. That's where you look like a retard. You look like an absolute idiot. So, for sure, we were deceived about being on the globe. But once you wake up to that deception, to fall for something like somebody telling you that the sun and moon are coming towards you and that they're never setting and that it's just perspective that you're seeing, that's craziness. Ronnie had this slideshow put together. This might have been from one of our very first Beyond Flat Earth Hangouts. Right?
Before.
And so why is this slide up here, brother? What are we looking in the sky here?
Yeah, that's the one of the two poles in the sky.
One of the two poles. So Earth has two poles. This could be the North Pole. It could be the South Pole. But by seeing the star trails, the star rotation, we can actually see their pattern, how they're rotating.
Well, it meant the keep it simple and keep it simple stupid. I don't want to be stupid myself, so I was a reminder, the KISS method, if everyone's ever heard of it. Pull to go where fake flat earthers won't go, right? So the southern stars, right? As we can see here in the slide, you got one pole spinning, then you get to the equator in the sky, which is the straight line, right, down the backside, and then you're never going to see both poles in the sky at once, right? But you have to continue to move through, and you can continue on. But this slide presentation was back from Flat Earth Conspiracy Channel. I did a podcast even before Beyond Flat Earth.
Nice. Yeah, so this graphic, two-dimensional, but you can absolutely see the path of the sun going down. And as it goes down below the ground, you'll see it doesn't shrink and turn into a dot and go away. If the sun was moving away from you and it was 3,000 miles up, it would, if you had clouds at the horizon, it would disappear above the clouds and it would never come below the clouds. Mm-hmm. But what happens is when we watch these sunrises and sunsets out here, if we've got a layer of clouds out here like this, you'll see the path of the sun coming down like this, where it goes through that layer of clouds down into the ground. Or if it's rising the other way.
And then there was that shadow one, shadows.
Yeah. So the shadows are absolutely super critical in an understanding the path of the sun. If we look at one of these models right here, let's go ahead and get this back up above the ground, and we'll look at it from the north again. This can be a little disorienting if you're not familiar with south of the equator. All right, so here we've got north up here. This is the way we're familiar seeing it, everybody. But these shadows. So the shadows, when we'll get the sun back up above the ground.
Yeah, you can see how they elongate, shrinking at midday, and then they elongate the other direction, reciprocal from the rise, the set.
These shadows are exact. You can take any stick, any vertical post, and you can watch how the shadow is traced out on the ground and mark it out, and you can actually then extrapolate the path of the sun where it literally had to come out of the ground at the horizon. Right, if we bring this back, all right, in order to get the long shadows and at these angles, right, the sun has to be right there. Right? And that, in order for it to be right there, it had to, before that, be right there. So this, the path of those shadows are going to tell you the exact path of the sun around you. There's no faking this. It's not fakeable. You can go test it yourself. So
the shadow, the structure that was built here was built along probably close to the equator, and it's showing the straight path of the sun along the curb. Right? If you were having a sun circle around you, it would never draw a straight path, ever. It would constantly be a circle. There'd be no way you could have something cast a straight shadow if the sun was curving in the sky. It's impossible. I really remember Jaron tried to build a popsicle stick version of this and then tried to use a flashlight to replicate it. He couldn't do it, but it's easy for Jason and I. We could easily do this. If we went to the equator on the equinox, if we put a mark on the right side of the curb and a mark on the left side of the curb, or we could mark the shadow all the way across here from the peak of the structure, and we could then pour this curb. And then every single year on the equinox, 2 times a year, the sun will literally ride along that curb perfectly, just as it is. This is impossible if the sun was circling. This was the huge debunk of the AE Mappa model. And you can go and verify it and test it. You just have to be at a certain latitude, north and south, close to the equator in a larger region. And the sun just it just goes straight from one side to the other. It's an equatorial sundial, right?
yeah, now that we've got all these live cams all over the place, you can choose any location that has a live cam, and as long as there's some sort of vertical standing post, a stop sign, just any sort of post, you can watch the time lapse, and you're going to see stuff like this. You're going to see the path of the shadows, and that path of the shadow will tell you what latitude you're at, and the motion of the sun around you, the observer. So this right here, this is when this graphic has sort of become sort of famous, because it's these circles. All right, you take a look at any one of like we're looking at Sunkelk, we're looking at the Andrew Marsh site. All these sites that show us the path show that the sunrise angle is coming from south of east and it's setting to south of west. For all these locations south of the equator, during our winter, their summer. So they have these big paths. Everything's circling from the outside this direction. Right? That's not possible. The sun can't be going out and here and out, here and out, and here and out. See, all of those suns you're thinking of a physical sun. A ball of gas, 3,000 miles in the air, that's the source of light and heat. It's not possible, though. So this is this is another, animation of the fake flat Earth.
Yeah, notice what it states here. There's no southern constellations visible in the flat Earth model. Okay? When I say that, I want to repeat that again. You cannot display the southern stars in the AE Map and Freemasonic New World Order Pizza Pie model.
Yeah, yeah, you've got the Milky Way, like the way they try to represent this stuff. Like, so here comes your Milky Way right there, right? But nobody's seen these stars just circling above the horizon, going around the outside sideways like that, ever. Never. They rise, just like the yin-yang around the horizon being the dividing point of night and day. Not the horizontal plane up in the sky. You've got it flipped, inverted. But this guy does a great job. Watch the CGI graphics as it shows what we see. That right there, yeah. That is not what we witness. No one has ever seen a sky rotate above their heads like this. Okay? Never. You can do time-lapse photography, and you'll see that it's a wall extending up in front of you, not spinning above your head like this. It completely defies anything we've ever witnessed. Well, and you can clearly see that you could only have the sun rising north of east, and you can only have it setting north of west. True. Right.
Yeah, this graphic goes even more. It starts, we're going to get into a model of what we would actually see in a city on the ground, right? So the main thing that this is showing is that you can't illuminate half of the flat disk at one time, which the equinox does, right? Equal day and night. Equal day, equal night. Sun and moon must be enlarged, they state. But it's just getting to understand and see how it's not rising or setting. It's just circling around. That's not observable in reality. Okay? It's not. Now you've got the correct angle. See, at the beginning you had the right angle. Go back, Jason, please. This is the best part here to show you graphically. This is the way we witness it. In the north and the south and at the equator, it's a straight line around you. Push play. You see the sky as a wall in front of you like this. And then the flat earth tells you it's like this. And
Nope.
you've never witnessed it like that.
Never seen it like that. With all these stars just whipping around the outside, because remember, they have to get around once every 24 hours. All right, so around the outside, they have to be going Mach speed. And these inside ones have to be just barely rotating.
It's true. It's a good graphic. It's well built.
And we don't see different speed luminaries. There's a difference between the sun and moon. There's a difference between the wandering stars and the fixed stars. But you don't have these outside ones moving like, the speed of light, while these inside ones are barely rotating.
Yeah, nor do we state that this has anything to do with the sphere Earth. The sphere ball Earth is even worse. It's just as stupid and ridiculous. Everything upside down, twirling through the universe is just as ridiculous. Now what we have on the screen is actually what on an AE map and model we would witness and measure with our compasses and our sextants. We would measure the sun. It wouldn't even be a debate as to where we lived. We would all know we lived on a circling sun AE map model with a dome over us.
Because that right there is the way it would look. All right.
Is this how you witness the sunrise and sunset? As David Weiss and the rest of the flat earthers will tell you. What's he now? Flat Earth Dave instead of Dirth or Ditra or DITRH?
So let's go ahead and slow this down a little bit.
Is this what you guys witness and film out there and see with your eyes your entire life, every single day and night? The sun circling up in the sky like this?
So keep in mind, all of your stars would all be rotating in the same circular path. So you would have this sweeping arc. You could see the sun following that same sweeping arc. You'd see him sweeping up over your head. You would see it here up overhead. The shadows, all right, these programs show you what the shadows would be doing if the sun was circling overhead. Here's another view of it. So with this circular path, it would have to start out as a tiny super little dot. All right, 3,000 miles high. That means it's going to be above any clouds. It can never rise from the ground. And you would see its circling path just like this. And you would see it circle out. It's always turning right. If you're watching it make its path, it would always be turning right, always.
It's not what we see. And then we've got the moon, right? So if the moon was circling around us like this, right, 3 different places on the realm would see 3 different phases of the moon all at the same time if it was circling around above our heads like that. Yet everybody in the entire map sees the exact same face of the moon every single day.
So that is what your circling sun would look like right there. Always hooking right.
Ground.
Hooking right.
Always hooking right. Always. It's not what we see, people. That's not your reality. I'm sorry. Thought you might have woken up to the truth, but they had a lie waiting for you. The false dichotomy. They give you both the wrong choices. Okay? You've never witnessed the sun traveling through the sky like this. Okay, it's not real.
Here comes our moon now. All right, so you see how you would see there's the illuminated face that direction. Now this side. Nobody's ever seen a moon change phase like this.
No, never. No one's ever seen the backside of the moon either, which this model would dictate.
Yeah, you would be able to see the backside all the way around except for the top.
And we do see the moon in the daytime, people, and it does not circle around up in the sky like this. Here we go. This is the demonstration showing you the 3 phases at the same time.
Yep. So they've got the 3 different cameras taking a shot at the moon, right? So if you've got a spot north of the equator, a spot south of the equator, different continents, everybody, like Ronnie was just saying, everybody's going to be seeing a different side of the moon from their position. The only thing we wouldn't see is the top of it, but every other side of it would be seen. Which we've shown the moon is actually a 2-dimensional object. We can prove it.
It's about the diagram's about to give you the snapshot, the animation. See, look, boom, you'd be seeing the back, they'd be seeing the face. There you get the 3 shots right here.
Yep. It sort of covers it up a little.
But it shows Africa, North America, and South America would all have 3 different phases of the moon if we lived on an A map with the moon circling above our heads like this. It's what we'd witness. South America can see the backside of the moon, people. It's not reality. No one's ever seen the backside of the moon. And we all see the same face. It's just reciprocal. One side is inverted.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible. And we see from all angles, the moon is 2-dimensional. It's a very wonderful, I guess the sun probably is too. They both have these supernatural abilities about them. Same with the rainbow too. You can't get to the end of it. You can't get to the sun. You can't get to the moon. Again, this is not what we witnessed. That's just showing it as it would get larger and smaller as it came into your, this is what a lot of the people would say in the flat earth, that the sun is approaching and then above head and then it's setting. So what you would actually have is it would be a tiny, tiny dot on the horizon. And as the sun or the moon got closer to you, it would start to grow in size. It would get huge, larger and larger and larger. You'll see here he shows in the diagram, in the animation. See how as the moon comes closer? It's huge, right?
Yep. If they were circling physical objects, they would be growing and shrinking in size as they were coming towards you or going away. They don't grow or shrink.
This section of the animation is wrong, though. So in a flat realm, you have a circle of sight, and once the moon would have got to that circle of sight, it definitely would have not been visible over the plane too. That part was incorrect. This is an old video. This is from maybe 2013, 2014.
Oh, so they
the sun setting off the AE map. Oh,
oops.
Oh,
Oops.
That's what it does, huh, AE mappers? That's the same video.
All right.
But yeah, there's more just showing the impossibilities of the rise sets.
Yeah, from Suncalc. So that's what we're trying to get everybody to see, is even a site like Suncalc has, nobody can see the entire United States and Europe and West Africa, and you can't see that far. You're never going to be this high. Really the highest. Let's go back up north here. Some of these sites got glitchy on us tonight. So we'll go back up to the north here. And nobody's going to see that distance. All right, let's get down to... That's a little low. We'll come back out one. Yeah, so if you were really high, no, you can't see this far. To be able to...
The go fast, maybe.
Yeah, you can't see that. So let's get in another level. This might be if you're flying really high here, you might be able to see this big of an area. But keep in mind, everybody, that you would end up, you're going to see the sun coming up and out of the earth following this path. Even at that a big distance, the path is always the same. And that red line, if that's the day, that is the path around the observer. From any altitude, just the higher you are up, the more you're going to see to the horizon.
Showing you the sun. The sun rises and sets, and how it works and how it doesn't work on the AE map model. That's the main thing we wanted to talk about tonight.
That's it.
Here's we got Robotham, who didn't even believe anything about the South, right? He thought it was all ice, and I think he believed that Australia was frigid, frozen area, that it was inhabitable.
South ice.
Zealand. South ice, right? And the whole ice wall being like 65,000 miles around is completely debunked. People race around Antarctica and have for a long time. And you live in a supernatural realm. What else was there? There was a bunch of stuff. But yeah, you keep going.
I've got this tab still. So this is Sun, Moon, Rise, Set Simulation. And this guy actually has, so the sun's the yellow path and this orange one is the moon's path. And he does have this, so a lot of people ask about the moon's path around the observer, and here's an animation that shows it. But you see this circular area right here? This is the flat plane that you are on, and that is the distance that you can see to the horizon, and that is the luminaries rotating around you. And once again, the animation is going to show that when it goes below the disk, it's underneath the ground, but this is your circle of sight with the luminaries going around you. So watch him put this into motion. So this has got the path of the sun and the moon, and it's got the wobble of them through the ecliptic plane. Right, so this right here shows the different wobbles that the sun's plane and the moon's plane are on. And it shows why, full moons happen. It shows when eclipses will happen. This is all you need to have right here in order to be able to predict an eclipse.
Model anything. The luminary's position.
Yeah. Yeah, so
it's on a flat plane with the sun circling. It's not staying up in the sky, circling around your head, never setting or never rising. It's just frustrating because we want people to want to know the truth too, and be able to, stand with it and show it and share it, and not lose in arguments and have people, mock you because you're sharing fake, false, Jesuitical information.
Yeah.
It's, they get the loudest voices, but here we'll show the simple truth. This is how it can be demonstrated. The way that the sun and moon circle around you, rising and setting every single day. Never has it stopped. It's the most perfect, accurate time measuring device ever created. Amazing, right? We can witness it and talk about it and share it and show you time and time again. This is how the rise and set angles work, and they don't work. It doesn't work on a ball. It doesn't work on a sphere. It doesn't work on a flat plane. It doesn't work in a concave earth. The only way that this actually makes sense is if you start to understand that you're in a supernatural realm and it's a stereographic projection. I don't know if you want to get into that a little bit. We could dedicate a whole podcast to explaining what stereographic projections are, right? And perspective. The distance, again, Jason said, you can only see to the edge of the circle all around you. That's it. That's as far as you can see. The higher you rise, the larger that circle gets. Mm-hmm. But the sun and the moon and all the stars continue to do the same path that we're seeing on this animation. It's verifiable and testable by everybody in the realm.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a great graphic. You can see that this arrow right here is pointing to the north, and then this white line from the observer, that's Polaris.
That's right.
And you can see that everything is rotating around Polaris right there. And then if we could take this and rotate it ourselves, you would see that that line down there is pointing at sigma octans, but this whole thing rotates
180 degrees south.
Yeah, as you move from north to south, this, at the equator, now instead of Polaris being up like this, Polaris is flat to the horizon and sigma octans is flat to the horizon.
Well, see, the incorrect part of the diagram is the fact that in this one they have the sigma octans under the plane.
Yep.
When in reality, the observer would just simply turn around and then angle up 180 degrees into the sky, right behind them. Not down, but up.
Yep.
Completely proving that we live on a flat plane. Up is up and down is down.
Yeah, so if you understand this diagram here, you're going to understand that you're in a virtual reality because luminaries are setting into the ground, right?
And we can show footage at another point. I don't know if you have tabs for that.
No, I think this is good for tonight.
Yeah, at another time we can talk about the supernatural abilities, like maybe the map, how the stereographic projection works, how it works, what a stereograph really is. It means sort of two, right? Instead of having just one pole, you have two poles in the sky, and what actually ends up happening is the two poles in the south are actually half poles, right? And so what you then can do is project it to any shape, including a sphere.
Yeah.
That's what we discovered by accident using 3D modeling programs.
You can make it look concave. You can do a whole bunch of things, but it's a coordinate system, and no matter what kind of wacky display you come up with, it will still work based off of its coordinates. Right? So your latitude and longitude will still give you correct headings and distances, even if you're looking at it sort of a inverted version of it.
Yeah. It works. And like I said, I still got other slide presentations that we can go through. So next Flat Earth Friday, we can go through, the stereographic projection, how a oblique Mercator works. And, the quick story about it was Jason and I were searching, trying to find the understanding of our reality. That's what we were trying to do. And we set out debunking everything that wasn't matching what we could measure and observe, right? We took a screen capture from a map that Cammie and Bob were sharing. It was the celestial stereographic projection. They only had a section of it, then they tried to draw in their own idea, which was wrong. But we put it back to the original. We're going to be showing that one. And then a guy showed up. Well, we had found the C.S. Pierce. Was it 1894?
Yep.
The 1894 C.S. Pierce was the map that I had downloaded almost every projection ever created. And Jason asked, because we were looking at stereographic type projections. We were looking at ways to project different mapping systems onto a flat plane, and that's when we realized the stereograph. And then when it ended up happening was a guy named Clifford Cox showed up out of nowhere, and he gave us the link to the Hotime projection, which is exactly like the C.S. Pierce, but they distorted the view a little bit. And then we put it back to our correct spot, and we can show you how it all works.
Yeah, we'll do it again. But everybody, if somebody asks you how the sun rises and sets on a flat earth, don't tell them that it's doing circles above. They're going to think you're retarded because they can see that the sun's not coming towards them or going away from them. People can see that it's rotating around them. Now they've been told that they're spinning, right? So they're distorted that way. But we're fixed, and the luminaries are rotating around us. Right there's your path of your sun and moon, right? So they've got it all mapped out. It's almost a 19-year cycle that the moon goes through as far as its wobble's concerned against the sun's wobble. And this is how time is measured. This is how seasons are measured, and ages, eons as well, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's the great time clock, the timekeeper, the timepiece. It's perfect. Everything about it is perfect.
Yeah. So I like that at the beginning of this guy does, he does some rotating around, so you can see that yes, this is a fixed plane with the observer. Right. You can see the path going around here's your flat plane right here. But I think it's been great, brother. Flat Earth Fridays, it's a thing now, right?
Yeah, let's do it again next week. Like I said, we'll bring out the stereographic projections and maybe Blender, and we'll look at how it works and how you can do it and why we why we use the map we use, because you can either project it to a sphere and use it, or you can use it as a flat plane. And that's where it went to, is John LeBon had said, well, if your model best comports with reality, whatever it is, it actually has to be the truth, right? And we don't have any witness or evidence of curvature. So when you can stereographically show a map that works both for the sphere and for a flat plane, obviously the flat plane version of it is what most matches reality. And that's what we're going to maybe get into next Friday.
Sounds great.
Are we going to be live Sunday too?
Not sure yet. It's sort of up in the air.
Yeah, we might move it to a hotel next Sunday, depending on our plans and what we have to do. So yeah, just people keep watching at the Awake Souls YouTube channel.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining, everybody. Where's the only place people are going to hear this, Ronnie?
Well, there's one other place, two other places. I do mixes at RJ Shine off the Awake Souls YouTube channel, and my other spot is called the Limitless Channel, and I do my morning shows. They're called the Rise and Grinds, and you can find that. I'll comment below. I'm actually in the chat with that Limitless channel right now, and I'll leave a comment below if you want to come and watch those other podcasts. We do them each and every Friday with brand new music and then the news. Just the weekly news. We're documenting it. So you can see it there, but you can only see these on the Yahawashai News Networks.